In a previous audio, I believe it was called Settlements and Judgments, I went into detail in regards to people who handle legal situations poorly. I also discussed some tips. I want to discuss also some of the ways that people use settlements and judgments as a way to manipulate people into or out of their lives. And let me give you a case in point. Maybe you guys can relate. Now, if you haven't watched my video on the YouTube channel called Off the Trails, Why I Walk, I mostly touched on the fact that I previously was an addict. And when I went through recovery, I had to go through a lot of therapy, group therapy, individual therapy, whatever was required to get the job done. And going through the group therapy, and I'm not going to mention any names or whatever, but I noticed that there were a lot of people who were talking about when it came to the issue of financial stability. We were trying to discuss what avenues are you going to have to support yourself from this point on now that you're clean. And one of the things that I heard of a lot from a lot of people is how they're involved in some kind of legal case and that they're waiting for it to settle and they'll be okay. And unfortunately, a lot of these cases, when people say this, they're lying. Some people are lying in order to work their way into other people's lives. Some people lie because they don't have a plan of action to take care of themselves. So what they'll do is they'll go to someone who has the resources that they want. And in an effort to have access to their resources, they will tell this person, I don't have anything right now, but I've got this court case where I was involved in such and such and such and such and such. And when it pays off, I'll take good care of you, blah, blah, blah. I just need your help right now. And unfortunately, some people use that as a game to get money, to get access to shelter, to get access to transportation, to get access for someone else providing them their basics. And a lot of times, in half the cases, there is no judgment. There is no lawsuit. It's a scam. They're running game, people. They're running game. Another case where a person runs game in regards to lawsuits, and I've run into this personally. Now, if you had this happen in a relationship, let me know in the comments. But I've noticed in a couple of past situations where the other partner I was involved with was not financially stable and was trying to run game. The first thing that comes out their mouth after you've moved on and mind your own business and they can't get you out of their head, they come back to you in an effort to get back with you to get those resources again. And they'll turn around and say, oh, well, I got this lawsuit going on right now because such and such and such and such and such and such, and I wanted to let you know that I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Okay, some of you will actually forgive them and take them back and say, oh, well, you know what? They're going through so-and-so. I still have feelings for them. Blah, blah, blah. I'll go ahead and let them back in. You turn around and let them back in. You give them access, quote unquote, temporarily. You let them move in with you or drive your car or spend your money or just have access to things that you've earned by yourself. You let them in again. You're giving them a second chance, so to speak. And they turn around and they do the same dumb shit that they did before, if not 2.0. Now, I'm talking to somebody right now. Let me give you a scenario to break it down for you, let you know what I'm talking about. Let's say that you're a gentleman and you've worked hard, you've dotted all your I's, you crossed all your T's, and you're getting the consequences. You're getting the results of your hard work. You're getting the results of your hard work. And you want to share it with someone. Well, unfortunately, when you have your own and you're standing on your own, that draws a lot of people that don't have shit, ain't about shit, ain't trying to get shit. All they're going to do is spend their lives trying to leech off of everybody else just to get by. And they actually think that they're successful people, and they're not. They're posers. They're posers, they're lazies, they're bums, they're whores. Put a label on it, that's what they are. And let's say you're a man, you went ahead, you settled in your career, been at it for a while, you're an expert, you're getting, everything is in line as far as your finances go and everything else, and you want to share your world with someone, and you come across someone that you think is good for you. And then after a while, you notice once you get closer to this person that they're using a lot of the things that you worked hard for all the time and always have an excuse as to why they're not financially stable. They'll get a job just long enough, and then all of a sudden the job is gone. They're job hoppers, most of these people. They're residence hoppers, most of these people. They always have a story as to why they can't stay in their digs, why they can't stay on the job. Those are two biggest things. Why they have fractured relationships with people who are close to them all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're in a relationship with anybody, be it friend, family, or whatever, there's going to be friction from time to time. But if it's an unusually large amount of people that this person is disconnected from, then you have to question that. But let's say you're the gentleman, you get involved with this person, and they have just been unstable. And it's putting a strain on you because you're always having to take up the slack all the time. You got tired of the excuses, you got tired of the foolishness, and you said, you know what, I'm done, I'm moving on, I'm leaving you alone. And you leave them alone. They kick and scream and holler and have their tantrum or whatever, but you're done. 6 months, year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes several years later, this person pops up out of the blue. And they come to you. Now, mind you, it's been some time since they've been with you, so that's a lot of time to come up with a fancy story to get back in someone's good graces. This person has fallen on hard times again because of their bullshit. So now they're going to go back into their little black book, so to speak, and start going down the list of people that they know they did wrong because they ran out of they don't have any more options. They're at their bottom again, another bottom. So what they're doing is they're reaching back into the past of all the people who did give them the time of day. Gosh, I wonder what that's about. Anyway. And they're trying to bring the rap back. So the only thing that they can think of is like, well, you know what? I didn't give much to that person before. So let me pretend like I've got it going on or that I'm going to have it going on so they can take me back so I can go ahead and I can be covered again. So they can cover my ass again. So they come back to you. He or she calls you back later on. Hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Not long until the end of the conversation, all of a sudden they've got something to say about, oh, I've got this lawsuit going on with such and such and such. I've got this case going on with such and such and such. Because, something happened with so-and-so. Something happened with the landlord, the place I was living, or the person I was dealing with, or the job that I had, or the car that I was in an accident. It always, and I got this going on, and there's this huge lawsuit and blah, blah, blah. And, right now I'm kind of in between situations, but the only thing that I need right now is I just need someone that I can trust because I trust you so much. Someone that I can trust, that I know that'll be there for me because you were there for me before. Someone that I know that will go ahead and just hold it down for me. And once I get this lawsuit, we're going to be sitting so pretty. And it'll give me a chance to make up to what I did to you before because I'm so sorry. And these people are so apologetic. So that's their way of kind of getting your attention. They lead the conversation with an apology. And you sit up here and you listen to it and you're like, all of a sudden, if you have any feelings left for this person, you feel, oh, well, everybody deserves a second chance. Not thinking about the fact that this person, that's their MO, they do this shit to everybody all the time. You got to look at people's track records, period. You got to look at their track records. If they're still doing the same thing still doing now that they were doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and they're still speaking the same language that they spoke when you dropped their ass, you don't give them a second chance. They lead them with an apology because they're really not sorry for what they're doing. They're buttering you up so they can get back into what you have. And believe me, During that time that the two of you have been separated, they have been checking up on you through your family members, through your social media, your co-workers. They've been checking up. They've been asking about you and trying to dig up whatever little information that they get. And if they're smart, and if you're smart, you hadn't been putting that much information out there. I'm being quiet for a minute because I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what's going on. When you are finally reaching your pinnacle, you're reaching that level where everything is cool and you're not stressed out and everything is in order. There's always somebody from your past who know they fucked up, who is going to be watching you. And they're trying to figure out in their mind how they can get back in and get their hands on what you got. They haven't changed anything. That's why, I mentioned in the previous audio, just because somebody says that they're sorry, they're not. Just because somebody apologizes doesn't mean that they're sincere. There may be a sinister plot behind that. You've got to be careful. So I say this to say this, people. When it comes to settlements and judgments, and I stated in the previous audio, don't ever count your money before you get it. But there are some people out there who will create this scenario. Like I said, half of them, they're telling the truth about the settlement and judgment, and the other half are not. The ones who are not, they will use that as a means to get back into your good graces. And once they get their foot in the door and get that key, it's bullshit all over again. Stay away from these people. Stay away from them. Whatever little feelings that you have, work it out with your Creator, so you can get rid of them, because they are bad news. And in a lot of cases, if you give them a second chance and you let them back in the house, not only are you going to go through the bullshit you went through before with them, they're going to have revenge on their mind, actually thinking that you owe them something, and the situation could be worse than it was before. And you worked too damn hard for what you've got in order to allow that. Make room, make spiritual and mental room for someone who comes along, who matches your power and helps build you up even better than you are now, who supports you and doesn't bring you that drama, who doesn't disturb your peace for personal gain. Because that's exactly what these people are doing, because they lack peace, because they lack stability, they lack discipline, and they want to go try to take it from someone else in the name of love. Yeah, these people need to go see somebody. I know some of y'all are thinking that right now. It's true. But just be aware. Be aware of the exes who are entitled to a bounty all of a sudden, entitled to an inheritance, entitled to a settlement out of the blue, when you know full and damn well that you paid for their existence before, and they come up out of the blue later on, and all of a sudden they have this so-called pending windfall coming in as an excuse to get back into your good graces. I say don't even talk to them. And if you do, make it their last conversation. I say this as a warning so you can protect your peace. Because if you have peace within yourself, you can keep your bounty, you can keep your energy positive, you can protect what you have. But if your peace is being disturbed, everything that you work for is subject to crumble. So with that being said, I bid you peace.